collect the dust. Nice. Looking good, looking real good. Okay, 240, Terry. 240. Let me grab the 240. When refretting, is it absolutely necessary to level the board? As close as you can, yes. Now, if there is a little low spot, it doesn't matter. You can sort that out with your frets. So you can actually have a little dip or a deeper channel in one of the fret slots. As long as you start with the same gauge frets and you level them, that becomes your new point of reference. Remember, always check your board before you fret. Adjust it if you need to straighten it with the truss rod to get it as dead straight as you can. Now, if it's not perfectly dead straight, as many sometimes aren't, and they do move a little bit with humidity changes as well. So what you need to do is get it as straight as you can, fret the thing, and then it's all down to your leveling and how much relief you want. Essentially what's going to happen is you're going to start with potentially a flat board. You put your frets in, you level them, you polish them. By the time you do that, you may even have a back bow because of the spring tension of the steel, depending on what kind of frets you use. This happens with steel frets. You can sometimes get a bit of a high spot in the middle because they're bitten into the wood and they're pulling up. The forces of hammering them in at a radiused piece of bar of steel essentially, or nickel or copper or brass, they're pulling up a little bit on that. So if the fretboard is such that it will move a little bit with humidity and moisture changes, it may have already a back bow. Then again, when you string it up, the tension on the strings, 100 odd pounds of pressure pulling back on the headstock, may level them out again. So it's important to do the work quickly. Get a flat reference, as flat as you can with the board, get your frets in and level them. Then you have a starting spot, okay? You're gonna always be able to make adjustments once there's tension and the thing beds in and it moves and what have you. You might have to do a tweak, lefty-loosey, righty-tighty on the truss rod to get it level. You might want a little bit of relief at the 12th fret. You might want a little bit of a bow because of your action or the way you play, or depending on the style of music and the style of the player. So always remember, start straight, as straight as you can. If there is a little issue with a fret slot or two, don't fret, don't worry. And see what I did then, it was no pun intended. Don't be scared, put your frets in, but level them. Make sure they're level. Once they're level, it doesn't matter what the board looks like if the top of the frets are dead laser level. Then you can actually continue building and working on that guitar. I hope that makes sense. Maui Lynn, thank you for the 500. You are wonderful. And Mav, thank you for the 10, my friend. That is also very good. Put up with you. You're easy to put up with, mate. You're a good friend of the channels. Yeah, you gotta correct. Try and correct as best as you can before you put the frets in, as Tom says. It's very important. But if you don't, as long as you get the frets level, it'll be playable. Okay, it'll work. Okay. Next is 240. Thank you for the question, by the way. That's a good question. It's a very, very relevant question. I always start as straight as I can with the board. I even adjust the truss rod to get it straight before I put frets in. And then I look at it again after the frets in, and then I look at it again once the strings are in and after about 5 days. That Explorer I refretted last week, that was the lowest action I've seen for about 4 days. On the 5th day, we had huge humidity shifts and temperature changes, and that neck bowed, that moved. So I had to readjust. and then now it's been good again. So you will get some movement, but the important thing is that you're not fretting out anywhere. You don't want strings to fret out halfway up the neck. You lose your notes. You don't want that. As long as you're playing every note, and that's the key. You've got to be able to play every note, and it's playable. It's low enough of an action that A, you're not buzzing, and B, you're not struggling to play because it's too high. Okay, so not too high to avoid buzzing or fretting out, but not too low not too low so that you start buzzing and fretting out, but not too high so that you can't play the thing. So you've got to find what's comfortable, but it's important to get the fretboard as straight as you can before you fret. And then after you fret, it's important to level it and double check your straightness. And then when you string it up, you got to play it and let it sit for a week or two outside of the case and inside the case. And if you don't have a humidity pack for your case, which is a special humidity control little device, they're about $10. It's a bag of basically material, and what it does is it absorbs moisture and releases moisture to keep the humidity at about 54% in the case. That's ideal for guitars. That'll keep the wood from moving, drying up too much, especially if you're in a low humidity situation, or too high humidity in the wet, in a tropical region where it will absorb too much moisture and move again. So that's important to know. You can buy those satchels. They're not silica beads. Do not put silica beads, the ones you buy get in shoe boxes, do not put those in your guitar case. They will suck all the moisture out and dry your guitar to the point where it will move, because it needs some moisture in the wood, but it's about getting that 50 to 54%. Thanks, I'm going to refret for the first time and I'm trying to learn as much as I can. I'll give you a tip. If you've got some spare wire, fret wire, practice on a blank. Practice on a fretboard that you don't need, or a piece of wood. Straighten it out. Check the level of the wood. Cut your slots. Check the level of the wood. Put your frets in. Check the fret heights. Level them. Check the fret heights. Check the straightness. Check the gaps. Practice on a piece. It might be worth, you might kill a little bit of wire if you've got spare wire. I'm not saying you should do this. It's good to practice. When I first did my first neck, I did a dummy. I practiced on a dummy neck and I learnt lots, and I'm still learning 15 years later. I'm still trying to improve my fretwork. It's constant technique changes and refinement. But yes, for the first time, have a practice if you can. But if you back yourself and you think you can do it on the real deal, go for it. You're not gonna break anything. Just be careful, plan it out, and just do each step and take your time and do each step carefully. And remember to double check your work after you do it. So don't progress with polishing or crowning until you've checked the levels. When you crown, check the levels again. You might need to re-sand one of them. You might have over-crowned one of the frets. You might have overworked it and it's a little bit lower now. So use your fret rocker. If you don't have a fret rocker, very important tool, probably the most important tool of your fretwork, is this guy here. Fret rocker, use it between 3 frets. So the middle fret will act like a fulcrum. So if it's high, it will rock like a teeter-totter or a seesaw. If they're flat and you run them along like this, run them along your frets, pressing down, and you should get a rock if one's high. Mark the one that's high with a texter or with a Sharpie. Keep moving, and then you know where the high spots are. You can keep working over them with a flat bar. Use a straight edge when you are flattening, right? Get yourself a proper fret guru straight edge, or a steel bar that's been machined and is perfectly straight, okay? Use that. The longer the better, because you're covering touching all the frets at the same time, so they're getting sanded together. So little things like that make a difference and make your life easy. Sorry for the deviation there. I thought I had to touch on that because it's very relevant. Okay, let's keep going. 240, Terry, back to the bench. But that's a great question. Thank you for asking. That was really good. Okay, here we go. 240 done, Terry. We're good to go. 400. 400, let's go. Down the home straight. Sorry guys, I've got to find my 400. Where is it? Did I put it away? No, it's right here in front of me. Is that 400? No, that's 120. What's that one? That's 400. Okay, cool. We're good to go. Let's go with 400. I don't need to mark that. I'm just going to, actually I will mark it with 400. The subsequent ones I won't need. So 800 and on so forth we won't need. Or 600 and 1200 we won't need. It's going to quickly do the 400 because it is taking off a tiny bit. The lesser grits. That's right, Terry. The lesser grits. Nice and even now. We don't want to, just want to get that all at one hit. Done. Last of the sandpaper and last of the coarse grits. Put our dust away. We won't get any more dust now. We're getting down to the business, the pointy end. Whoops. Don't open. I'll spill you. That's it. Getting to the pointy end of town. So let's get a 600 disc and a 1200 disc. 600, 1200. Okay, and we're just going to freehand this one now. This is just about polishing now. We're polishing, hitting those edges a little bit, just getting them a little bit round, getting some fibers off those edges because they're quite sharp. We're just polishing now. We could stop here and it would be enough. It's smooth as glass. It's already good enough to play, but we'll keep going because we want the aesthetic. Polish those little dots too. They're going to come up trumps. Those little dots are going to look fantastic. Okay, there's our 600. Let's do our 1200. Then Terry's going to get very excited because we're going to hit the micro mesh. $1,200. Starting to shine. You can see the shine already. Okay, our rosewood board is starting to shine. Okay, so Terry, what are we doing now? Are we getting the mesh out? I've already